was like, hey girl, make some buttermilk pancakes. And so here we go. It would smell like a crime scene, like there was a body nearby, and if it doesn't smell like that, then it should be pretty. So last night I was ready to cook a meal, and I discovered that my milk had already soured. And it's not surprising. I mean, I think they say it lasts about 2 weeks, and I think this is the end of the second week and maybe the beginning of the third week. And so it says best by August 25th. Just for transparency, it is September the 1st, and so we are out of that window, and so is this milk. I smelled it last night, and it actually smells just kind of tangy, almost like a yogurty smell, and it's a little bit clotted, but it is usable, and we are not letting this go to waste. So what I have decided to do is pivot this morning. The breakfast that I had planned is out the window because we need to use this and I don't want to waste it. So I am going to make buttermilk pancakes with this. I mean, it started the process for me, so let's just continue it. It was like, hey girl, make some buttermilk pancakes. And so here we go. Now, as last time I told y'all, you know I do not cook with a recipe. I don't cook with a recipe, and I go by feel. So I will tell you what I'm putting in the bowl, but I cannot tell you the amounts. And so I'm just gonna feel my way through this recipe and make some buttermilk pancakes, and we'll go with that. And on the chance that this does turn out, and they typically do because I make pancakes a lot for my family, like a lot. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on how to make a buttermilk pancake. And so we're gonna get our milk ready. I am gonna add a little bit of vinegar to this milk, a little apple cider vinegar, just to kill anything that might already start growing, although you would know it. I mean, it would smell like a crime scene, like there was a body nearby, and if it doesn't smell like that, then it should be pretty good. If it's just like a light tangy smell to it, then you are fine. Maybe don't drink it, but maybe cook with it, or maybe use it in your garden. So let's get started. Grab some apple cider vinegar because I am going to measure my wet ingredients into a measuring cup because I'm not going to mess up every dish in the kitchen. Listen, y'all, I don't want to be doing all these dishes. So I'm just going to grab the measuring cup, dump all the liquid ingredients in there, give them a stir, and then pour the dry ingredients in here. We're trying to get in and out. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's go. I'm going to use probably about 2 cups of this milk. She chunky, she thick. It smells exactly like yogurt. And I can thin it out a little bit in case you're wondering. This is half and half, by the way. This is not milk. I think I misspoke. This is half and half. And this is 16% butter fat. It is A2 organic, half and half. And it's VAT pasteurized is what it says. I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to tell you what it says. I'm going to add a little water to this and give it a mix. I probably should not use metal, but I am going to add my vinegar first and then the water. Okay, I love apple cider vinegar in pancakes. Even if you're doing traditional pancakes and you're not trying to use up some clotted milk or some clabbered milk, I'm not sure what the term is, but just add a little bit of this to any milk that you're putting in your pancakes. You're going to find they taste fabulous, like restaurant quality fabulous. It gives it that little zing and that balance that you need. Bring it up to that 2 cup mark. This is what it's looking like so far. 3 eggs. Let's get to crack-a-lackin'. Let me move over here so you can see me a little bit better. I am going to crack those in the bowl because I just don't want to get shells in it. I'm not that professional, y'all. I'm a home cook, so I got skills. All right, those are done. I'm going to grind these up and put them in the garden. So 3 eggs, 2 capfuls of vanilla. I said capfuls, maybe 2 teaspoons on your end, depending on how much you want to use. Throw that right in your milk cup. Maybe 2.5, an extra pinch for good measure. Because I am using freshly milled wheat, and I'll insert the video of me milling the wheat here. I'm using a hard white wheat. If you saw my Azure video, then you know I ordered about 25 pounds of the hard white, and I already had hard red. And so, yeah, I'm using that. Most of the time, the recipes will call for a all-purpose flour, but I just kind of feel my way through it and adjust as I go. All right, gonna put those in there. And then you can add the sweetener of your choice. I'm just gonna use some honey. I'm gonna eyeball it and squeeze some honey in there because that's typically the sweetener we use when we're baking. And then, I mean, I use cane sugar, but for pancakes, I typically just add a little bit of honey to those. I try to bring up the nutritional value as much as possible. That is going everywhere, but that is okay. So that is gonna rest right there. I also have about 2.5 tablespoons of butter that goes in this. And so I will add that. The milk is a little cold still, so I don't want the butter to solidify when I pour it in. So I'm just gonna leave them separate for now. All right, time to add the flour. So I'm gonna roughly estimate about 3 cups of flour. And so let's get that measured. Okay, so let's get about 3 cups of flour measured out. Let me give this a shake because that flour tends to cling to it. So this is what my freshly milled flour looks like. This is flour that means business, y'all. Like, it's got the brand, it's got everything. So those dark speckles in there, that's the entire wheat germ. So we're gonna measure out about 3 cups of that. This is a 2-cup measure, and I'm just gonna start here with 2 cups. All right, that gives us about 2 cups. And then that 3rd cup coming at you. It might have looked like a lot of flour I was milling, but I usually do a little bit more than I need. There we go, about 3 cups. I usually do a little bit more than I need because I'm baking like every other day. So to the 3 cups of flour, I'm going to add about, I don't know, like a 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Let's just go 2 full teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a little bit of baking soda. Yesterday I was watching, I think I was watching Allie from Little Hill Homestead. Little Hill Homestead, I think that's the name of it. I'll link her channel below. Let me tell you, I didn't even know that baking powder is a combination of baking soda and cream of tartar. Like, I had no idea. She showed me how to make it, and I'm like, y'all, I've been duped all these years. I was thinking I had to buy a special ingredient. I typically have cream of tartar in my pantry and baking soda. Like, I keep these things on hand, and she just rocked my world, y'all, when she put the two together, and she was like, voila, there you have some baking powder. If you haven't checked her channel out, you should really go watch her because it is life-changing. Like, I have learned so much from her. How to make laundry soap, how to make dishwasher detergent. Like, she is a wealth of information. She's my superhero. Okay, so now that we have this all in, I'm gonna add in usually I try to do a 1/2 teaspoon to 3/4 teaspoon per cup of flour because that helps me figure out how much salt I need. Since we have 3, I'm probably going to do like close to 3 teaspoons, maybe just shy of 3 teaspoons of salt. Usually I am trying to gauge how much salt I need to use, and so I use about a 1/2 teaspoon to 3/4 teaspoon per cup of flour. That helps me balance those flavors and for it not to taste like just doughy and bland. I need it to have some flavor. Okay, so I'm giving those a mix. All right, now you don't have to do this, but I'm gonna add a little bit of cinnamon to mine just because I like the taste of cinnamon in my pancakes. And I feel like it helps with that whole grain taste. Like, it gives me a little bit of interest in my mouth. So now it's time to add the wet ingredients. What they're looking like. Egg is in there, so I'm just going to give that a quick mix. Oh, I almost forgot. Let's add the butter to that. All right, perfect. And then let's get to mixing. It smells good. Like, it actually smells good. That is key. A little bit of that honey at the bottom. I'm going to scrape it out. Batter's looking good. If it's a little too thick, I might add a little bit more water, but It's actually looking pretty good. I'm just gonna turn it slowly. Let me move this out of the way so you can see. This is what it's looking like. So I'm trying not to overmix my pancake batter, but I think I'm gonna need a little more water. But other than that, it smells really good. Now, if you're brave, if you're super brave and you're feeling like you want to live on the edge, I always go ahead just to check the salt content. I will put it to my tongue. Salt feels pretty good. I just need to add a little more water. I think the whole grain is drinking up that moisture. And so I'm going to add a little more, and I think we'll be ready to fry from this point forward. It's about the consistency I want it to be. Kind of chunky, but looser than it was. Did that sound gross? I don't know. But it does feel a little bit chunky, and I might add just a pinch more salt, because anytime I add a little more water, I add a little more salt just to keep the balance at play. So I'm going to add a pinch more salt, turn it slowly, and then we'll be ready to fry. All right, that's the consistency I'm looking for. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give this a rinse because I need to use it again. I'm gonna put part of the batter in here because my son likes chocolate chip pancakes. And so to delight him, I'm just gonna take some of the batter out, put some chocolate chips in his portion, and then fry those up. And then mine are just gonna be regular whole wheat buttermilk pancakes. And there ain't nothing regular about that. I mean, that sounds delicious to me. I don't know about you. Okay, so let's clean this up really quick, and then I'll meet you back here for the frying. All right, let's add some chocolate chips to this, and let's get to frying. And one more for good measure. Why not? If you're going to do chocolate chips, do it right. Do it right. I think we're going to get his out of the way first. And so I'm going to take you over to the stove. And then I will tell you what oil I use to cook my pancakes in. My frying pan is nice and hot. It's been preheating for a while. I'm just going to use some ghee because I feel like ghee gives you that rich, delicious flavor that you want in a pancake. It just pulls everything together. So let that heat up a little bit. Let's get our first pancake going. All right, the oil is nice and hot. Pancake batter's looking great. Now my son is 20, so there are no petite pancakes coming out of this kitchen. There never have been, there never will be the cute little tiny pancakes. I try to fill this pan with as much batter as I can because usually I can get away with making him 2 at a time. And so, yes, he's 20. Yes, he lives in the kind of apartment downstairs and he's working and saving. I'll tell you about that really quick because my husband and I decided years ago, we both grew up in very different ways and our parents did the best that they could, but our hope is that we give our children the best start possible and help them save money so that when they leave home, they go straight buying their homes and they go straight into home ownership rather than having to rent and then scrounge together this down payment. So even if we couldn't give them the down payment, we can give them an opportunity to work, save money, live at home, and then take all of that money and go into their home ownership in their youth rather than like so many of us who enter into it much later when we are having children. We've been working for years and now we got to work hard to try to get that down payment. So that's the dealie with him. He lives downstairs in his own apartment and then we don't charge him rent, but we do require that he saves it towards a down payment for his future home. And so I feel like that's wisdom from God that he gave us. It might not work for every family, but that's what he gave us. And I'm sharing that with you because we're waiting for this pancake. We're waiting for it to bubble. You see how it's starting to bubble on the top? And then once those edges look a little bit dry, we'll give it a flip. But we got a few more seconds before we can. I'm excited because I've not made buttermilk pancakes with like my soured half and half. I've had Milk-O-Bad and I've used that. So this is a richer version of it, but I did water it down. So maybe the water kind of balances it out and makes it more like a whole milk in your recipe. So my guess is going to be probably the same, but there's a part of me that thinks that higher fat content's going to make this delicious. Right, let's see how this is doing on the bottom. Looking good. Let's give it a flip, y'all. Now that's what I call perfection. After you flip it, you're going to want this to kind of rise in the center and know that that dough, that doughy batter in the middle is cooking. So you see that rise? Don't flatten it. My daughter, my sweet daughter, she will, when I put her on pancake duty, she will bring the spatula and just smash that down. She just crushes all my hopes and dreams for that pancake. And so I just let it rise because that's how you get those nice, fluffy, fully cooked through pancakes. This is going to be delightful. Also, if you're using like a whole wheat, it's not going to be as light as if you had used a white wheat. So my pancakes are going to have a browner cast to them because of the nature of the wheat that I used. I used the entire wheat head and I just milled it in my Nutri-Mill, and so it's going to look a little darker than your traditional pancake. All right, we're off to the races. First one down, couple more to go. Meet you back here when we have a stack. All right, so these are your buttermilk chocolate chip pancakes. Give it a taste and let me know what you think. Oh, this is my son, by the way. You see his hand? Tell me your thoughts.
This is delicious.
So what do you?
Fluffy.
Fluffy? Okay, good. It's because your sister's not here and I didn't let her smash each one of them. Any other thoughts? Do you taste the buttermilk flavor or the tanginess?
I do. It has a good texture, has a good flavor to it. Good consistency with dry wet ingredients. Very good.
All right, this is just some raw grass-fed cheddar from Azure. And I'm going to whip together some scrambled eggs to go with the pancakes really quick. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of that clabbered milk into my eggs just to give them that zingy taste. We're going to use up this milk today. And I think the last thing I'm going to make, which I probably won't film, but I will tell you what I'm going to do, my plans for the rest of the milk. I'm going to add some to a biscuit recipe and make some biscuits for later in the week, and I'm just going to freeze those biscuits. And that way I can preserve this in the form of biscuits. Now, you might be wondering, do we eat like this every day? No. No, nobody eats like this. It is Memorial Day. Usually I will do a big breakfast on the weekends, or I will do holiday breakfasts together. Usually through the week we just have scrambled eggs and coffee, or I'm not gonna lie, it's like always eggs, but avocado toast with an egg on it, scrambled eggs with coffee. Most of the time we don't actually eat breakfast. We come together for brunch and dinner. So I usually, listen, they get about 2 good meals out of me in a day. I don't do 3 meals like I used to when they were little. I do about 2 good meals a day. I do a brunch and then we'll have a later dinner because we all work from home. And like I shared before, my husband and son are content creators. So that's what I do. I cook about 2 meals a day and sometimes just 1 if I have a lot of leftovers. And so I go from there. Today is just a heavier cooking day because my milk soured and I want to use it up. And I had some great recipes in mind to be able to do that. And so that is why I'm bringing you along for the sour milk adventure, just to let you know that you don't have to throw that milk out. Don't throw it out. At the very least, just saturate it, like put it in several gallons of water, pour it in your garden, pour it on your lawn so it is some nutrients for your grass. But don't just throw it out, because you're going to waste something that is valuable and good. So these are my tips for you, and I hope they help. All right, we're nearly done. This is the last little bit of the pancake batter. And so what I've been doing is, since it is not quite time to eat until the eggs are done, I put the pancakes in the oven on plates to keep them warm while they wait for the eggs to cook, because nobody wants cold pancakes. The oven was set at like 265 or something like that. I can't quite remember, but I turned it off, and now the residual heat is just keeping the pancakes warm until the eggs are done. All right, y'all, time to do those eggs. I just took a paper towel, wiped out the pan a little bit because I'm not washing the pan in between. It's already hot and ready to go. And if it picks up little bits of pancake, it's fine. But you don't want to waste that good heat that's already distributed throughout your cast iron or your pan. Just cook the eggs. Mix the little bits of pancake in. Call it good. My kids are grown now, and they survived my cooking style and my need to not want to dirty every dish in my kitchen. So if you're wondering why I turn the heat off, because this cast iron pan gets really hot and holds heat for a while, is so I don't actually need to cook the eggs in the heat. I can turn that eye off and just let the eggs cook with the heat that is trapped inside of that cast iron. The eggs are a little more delicate than the pancakes, and so I just want to make sure I don't burn them or dry them out too much. So that's always been my technique with a cast iron pan. Actually, with any pan, honestly, when you cook eggs, they get dry because we use that direct heat. Sorry about the vent fan. But eggs get dry because we use too much heat on them. And so if you're gentle with them, fold them, let them warm up, and let that cheese melt gently and slowly, and use that residual heat, your eggs will be moist and fluffy and delicious every single time. I typically will put the salt in the pan before I cook the eggs, if it's just the eggs that I'm cooking, but since they were following the pancakes, I didn't bother. I just went ahead and put a pinch of salt in the eggs, and look at that, y'all. Fluffy eggs, no extra additional heat needed. The cast iron just did the work for me. Okay, so I'm going to take those off the heat, and breakfast is ready. Pancakes from the oven, and they've been kept warm. My porcelain only got to taste it so he could give you a review, but he hasn't actually gotten to eat yet. So we're about to sit down and have brunch. The next time you're wondering what to do with that sour milk, it smells tangy, kind of like yogurt, and it's kind of thick and chunky, but it's not gone bad. Really, you just have some buttermilk on your hand. So the next time you're wondering what to do with it, make yourself some sourdough pancakes, make yourself some buttermilk biscuits, and you can even add it to your eggs in the morning and make some creamy and delicious eggs. Don't waste that milk. Use it up, enjoy it. You're going to find that it elevates the flavor of your pancakes. This plate is hot. I'm done holding it. So anyways, you'll find that it elevates the flavor of your pancakes, and it will be a delicious addition to your breakfast. So I call that a happy accident. Thanks for joining me in this video. We're going to sit down and eat now, y'all, because I'm real hungry, and it is, I don't even know what time it is. I think it's like coming to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we still haven't had breakfast yet. So let me go make some coffee, sit down and eat breakfast. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye. Mm-hmm. It gives the eggs a tangy taste, and it blends well with that cheddar cheese flavor. So good. All right, this is it. Perfect.